This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Karl Anthony Towns, occupies a space for me that not a lot of other athletes reside in, which is, holy shit, as a 7-footer, at any time in my lifetime before the last 5 or 6 years, I would have looked at your game and been like, how the hell does that exist? Mm-hmm. And how does it not dominate the entire sport? Instead, if you play word association with me on Karl Anthony Towns, what I would do is didn't have the strength to run with Jimmy Butler. He and Andrew Wiggins weren't able to be whatever Jimmy Butler wanted them to be in Minnesota. A different kind of cat, forgive the pun, wanted him to be tougher. And then this week, Karl Anthony Towns says on a podcast somewhere something that just received universal mockery, which is when he's done playing the game, he says, but when it's all said and done, he will have changed the game. Karl Anthony Towns is saying that from delusional confidence place? Is he trying to convince himself to be stronger publicly than he actually is? Because nobody thinks that of this player who came to the league very early, very young, physically super imposing, wants to play on the perimeter, but it's not even his team in Minnesota. It's never been his team in Minnesota.
Well, I would say, first and foremost, him saying that, like you said, is universal mockery, and that's saying something, right? Nowadays, everything has a kind of a split decision. Rarely do you get unanimity on any topic within sports, and this one is everyone basically laughed at him. Zach Harper likes to say this. Karl Anthony Towns isn't a great shooter for a big man. He's a great shooter, period. And so there is some truth to him as far as being a certain type of skill set player that is rare. It's not the first of the kind, and it's not the best of his kind, but he's really good. He's one of several. In the same way that I like to say that the idea of power forwards that dribble, pass, and shoot, like Derek Coleman is part of that influx of that into the league. Derek Coleman, Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace. There's a bunch of guys that kind of did all those things. But Derek Coleman isn't talked about in the same way because he wasn't as good as those other guys, and he didn't enjoy the same kind of team success as those other guys. I think Karl Anthony Towns the same way. Incredibly talented. No one denies his talent, but he's gotten in his own way of success. And when I hear a comment like that, you call it delusion. I don't think it's delusion. I think it's I have to construct this thing around me because otherwise, if it's not around me, I get a clear shot of myself in the mirror and say, I'm kind of a disappointment.
It seems like clear bravado to me, and bravado by definition is false. It's not real confidence. It's the mask of pretending that you're that kind of confident.
I love to use Eddie House as an example. Like, Eddie House is actually that confident. He could literally go 0 for 50, and then the 51st one is going up, and he truly believes that he's not going to miss it. With Towns, I don't get that vibe from him. I get a vibe of someone who's scared and is trying to compensate.
The full clip, it was on Pat Bev's podcast.
Oh, wow. Well, that's...
Well, I'm just saying, like, the clip, it's kind of misleading, the headline of him saying, like, oh, I'm the best. Pat Bev, opens it with, I've been telling everybody, when they say who's the best, I say this guy. And then he kind of, tease him up to be like, yeah, I am one of them. So it's not as, I don't think it's as juicy as the headline looks.
No, Chris, you know what, man? We've had, just in this last month, we had Mike Breen, right? We've had Ernie Johnson. These are two of the all-time greats, Hall of Famers at what they do. And when Dan said, hey, you're the best at this, what did they do? Did they say, you're goddamn right I am, and let me tell you a story about how I was great? Or did they say, ooh, man, come on, man, I'm just a guy. I don't know why. They both said the same thing. Why are we even doing a South Beach Sessions with me? Why does anyone want to listen about me? That's what true greatness, and true confidence sounds like.
Let other people tell you changed the game.
And you go come on.
It's a good rule to live by.
Come on, guys. I didn't change it. I'm just a guy who hits jumpers and dominates out here. But
like when people were chanting MVP at you the other day during the postgame show, where they were like MVP, and you're like, guys, come on, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, it's you don't get gassed by it and then co-sign ridiculous things.
Mike Ryan, are you the best?
Yeah, I changed the game.
Let's do top 5 big men. Top 5 big men, according to Mike Ryan, in honor of Jokic. Is this all time or right now in the sport? Because Karl Anthony Towns, is he making Boogie Cousins, before he went to go dominate Puerto Rico, said he would be the 3rd best center in the game, behind only Jokic and Embiid, if he were playing right now. Does Karl Anthony Towns, Mike Ryan, make your list of top 5 big men?
Big men? No, the top 5 list is the top 5 big men I've ever seen. And you could rest assured he is not in the top 5 big men I've ever seen. Now, this is my lifetime.
Okay.
So I have to apologize to Bill Russell, who I believe was only 6'8".
6'9", yeah.
Yeah. And Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I've seen highlights, but...
No, that's a very fair caveat. I hate when people like Justin Termini on NBA radio is like, "Oh, how could you leave Cousy on the list? Like, you never watched him play. You watched highlights. You can't like possibly be objective at that."
Yeah,
so
Mad Dog said like the '86 Celtics would sweep the Nuggets. I don't know what to do with that. Okay, that's very on brand.
Okay.
Yeah, but
The 86 Celtics would look at Jokic and run off the court screaming, the way that Amin did when Tim Duncan screamed after making a 3 to beat his Phoenix Suns.
I would venture to say that this Miami Heat team, that I don't even really believe to be that good, that just got gentlemen swept out of the NBA Finals, would sweep the '86 Celtics. I believe the game has changed that much, but this is why I don't want to disrespect previous eras and
Bob
just
Ryan's
keep it in
on
there.
your ass now.
No, I
Robert
know,
Parrish
I
would
know.
be so confused
Welcome to
by
the club.
Bam Adebayo. It would be so confusing.
All right, so here's the top 5 big men I have ever seen in my life. I'm respecting their game in those eras. I'm not going to do something disrespectful, but I might editorialize a little bit. So, number 5 big men that I have ever seen.
I thought that was a drum roll. It's
Yeah, me
just
too.
Roy.
Roy was nervous there.
playing
It's
with
Roy's
a paperweight.
contribution to the segment. The only sound he's made is to knock something over.
And
Sorry,
then-
I had
and
to
then-
turn on the pot here.
And
Sorry.
then whisper sorry.
Still hungover from Vegas. Number 5, Mike.
David Robinson, the Admiral. If you look at his accomplishments, his All-Stars, his All-Defense, the fact that he entered the league late because he was serving, and his 2 championships, David Robinson, I think, also had the game that he could actually hang in this era. I would love to see David Robinson in his prime defend the likes of Nikola Jokic. A big body that had great lateral movement. Really, just a beautiful player to watch defend with his length and chiseled. He was incredible. So David Robinson, number 5.
That sounded like Andrew Luck was making a scouting report.
I mean,
in the
you
middle of
remember
it.
the definition in his arms. He was
No,
just,
he was the
was.
most defined athlete, like in terms of muscles.
Do you think that? I mean, I would love to see David Robinson attempt to defend Jokic.
Yeah, I think Jokic is better offensively. Obviously, Robinson brings a defensive element that.
No,
Jokic can't.
but well, let's continue.
Yeah.
Number 4 big man that I've ever seen in my lifetime, David Robinson's Twin Tower teammate, Tim Duncan. And I would love to have seen Tim Duncan in today's NBA because he would have been asked to do more on the outside, and he would have been able to flash. He was a great defender.
He'd be hitting it off the glass from 3.
Yeah, that right at the nipple.
Bank is open.
Number 3.
Number 3, Hakeem Olajuwon.
Better than that. Oh, my
The dream.
Where's he going with this? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I assume we just saw one of them. Number 2.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Holy shit. You're going to make Jokic the best ever. The best big man ever. Number 1.
Hassan Whiteside.
Who's doing it with blocks?
If the Heat only had him.
At his peak, he's not wrong.
Dude,
If the Heat could have used
At his
Hassan
peak, he's
Whiteside.
not wrong.
Hey, let me ask you. When he had the nobody else is doing it with blocks game, who did he do it against? I want to hear. Who did he do it
Was it
against?
Denver? It was at Denver.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? It was at Denver.
What?
Nikola Jokic?
No.
Is
It was
that
Fareed, wasn't it?
I'm done being a
is that where we're at?
Danilo Gallinari.
The Hassan Whiteside was the difference between a Heat championship and not?
It's Jokic.
I would have liked to have seen though Hassan get the 6 fouls against Jokic. I would have liked to have seen it instead of Zeller.
That last segment got me thinking about a few hypothetical things. It got me thinking of what would be an ideal matchup if you could just put two guys in NBA history against each other. Because we said who? Jokic versus David Robinson. That'd be a good one. So it got me thinking that. Let's start there. I mean, give me right now. First off top of your head, hypothetical matchup from basketball history.
LeBron versus Larry Bird. Because I just want to see it, just to make people's minds explode.
You think things are bad in this country now.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
If you have an NBA Finals with Lakers LeBron and Celtics Larry Bird, the whole country burns.
How much weight does LeBron have on Larry Bird? Is it like 60 pounds?
Something like that.
70 pounds. So you're
LeBron's
not
a
doing
big boy.
You're not doing a one-on-one game. Well, I mean, yes, physically, LeBron represents the entire change of that sport to guys in a certain body type can do things that you only had smaller guys doing. Nobody within 60 pounds of LeBron had been able to do all of those things that LeBron was doing. Because even Magic, he wasn't 280.
Yeah, Larry Bird, a svelte 220 at 6'9".
That's a good narrative matchup, but I think my favorite that I'd like to just watch is the peak of Kawhi Leonard's powers guarding Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a stat the other day. Is this going to be right? It probably is right, but I didn't double check it. That Kawhi Leonard has more Finals MVPs than triple doubles.
No,
Because-
that doesn't sound right.
Well, he doesn't pass the ball that much.
But
He's not
no.
likely to get 10 assists in a game. He might rebound. It doesn't sound right to you. You think I didn't double check it.
He has
so
two Finals MVPs, Dan. Like you're saying,
I don't think he has a lot of triple
He
doubles.
has one career triple double.
Wow.
Triple double.
Triple double.
Different
10
thing.
turnovers. Yeah. Mike, wasn't there a Nike commercial where they did exactly what Chris just suggested, where like you had all these players from different eras coming through a portal?
Wasn't that
and
a
playing against
McDonald's
each other?
commercial where like
No.
they walked in and they all had McDonald's? Like, oh, Jordan, you're in here?
I don't recall that.
No, it's like a Nike football commercial, where the football commercial, where like they're getting.
Oh yeah. That was the Beckenbauer. What was that? I think that was the 06 German World Cup where kids would call like some of the greats. Yeah, that was a really great commercial.
I was watching, you know how like Instagram sometimes says, remember this ad? And it, like you watch them, and one of the ones I saw was Zlatan and Cristiano Ronaldo, and they're just basically one-upping each other. And all I could think of is, what happened to fun ads like that? Or like the McDonald's one, off the
Stop
scoreboard.
watching ads. Companies just prioritize ads on your phone.
Skip 15.
No, but like we're watching a live sporting event. These are the ads that come on, and instead of getting these creative, fun ads, we get like this Google Pixel ad that has Drewski and the guy from Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Drewski's everywhere now.
He's everywhere, but I'm just like, this commercial makes no sense. It's like with Giannis and erase the glizzy, and like it's not a good commercial. It's just random things.
Back
It's
in
like
my day, yeah.
It's like the internet threw up on TV.
I've got a matchup that I would love to see.
What's that?
Bob Cousy versus John Wall.
Oh my God, I got a matchup I like to see. Bob Cousy versus me. I'd lock his ass up.
Come on. You would not.
I mean, we saw you running
man.
stairs.
Hold
with
on.
him.
Who would infuriate Mad Dog most
I mean,
against
hold
Bob
on.
Cousy?
Hold
Is it
on,
Russell
Dan.
Westbrook?
it's what
Is it John
Carlos.
Morant?
It's what Carlos Arroyo would do to Bob Cousy.
I would lock his ass up, and then to
Baller.
quote my guy Juju Gotti, I would go right through his chest on the other side. Which, by the way, Dan, I don't know if you know this, the funniest moment of the finals. Who was with me? I think Taylor was with me. We're standing there. We're doing the post game. Bruce Brown has gone and seen his family and stuff, and now he's walking on the court with like his buddies, and he walks right behind us, and Juju says, "I go right through his chest." to Bruce Brown.
The fact that you think that you could, I mean, we've all seen you athletically.
No, you haven't. When have you seen? What?
I mean,
when I
Bob
was
Cousy-
38 years old.
I don't really think Bob Cousy's seen much of Amin in his day.
Dude, 25-year-old Amin, locks.
American
Locks.
Ninja Warrior.
I was 38 years old.
Yeah, he wasn't in
Doesn't
his
matter.
prime.
This is way past my problem. I'm talking about six-pack Amin. I'm talking about grabbing
What?
rim Amin. Yeah.
Oh, I was just talking
Grabbing
about
rim?
I was just talking about a black person.
I was out here just. Give it to yourself, man. That's a good one.
I mean, it is absurd for you to believe that you, in your prime, with abs, would shut down Bob Cousy. I, in fact, would take Bob Cousy right now over you right now, even though neither one of you are in your prime anymore.
Look, someone's going to die if that happened.
How old is you of embarrassment? How old is Bob Cousy right
94.
now? I would take Bob Cousy right now over Amin Elhassan. I'm not even kidding about that. At a 90, put it on the poll, please, Juju, at LeBatard Show.
You have to be kidding about that.
I'm not. I'm not.
Is he wearing the Presidential Medal of Freedom? This is an important question.
Dan, how many NBA players have you played against?
Oh.
Raja Bell is one.
Bona fides.
A 12-year-old Raja Bell is
Blocked his shot. I blocked his shot.
a 12-year-old Raja Bell. This is your fearless
toughened
leader.
him up for the league.
You kept your feet?
I
Look
got
at
him.
you, Derek White.
He was 12 years old. He used to play with his father. His father dominated me, but when Raja came through the lane, I threw it. Had no problem about it either.
Bob Cousy was 11 years old when World War II started.
To be honest, I got caught up in the air. I didn't realize he was 94. Like 94.
I didn't realize he was still alive.
It still goes side to side.
I would take Cousy in his 70s, though. And in his mid-70s, I would take Cousy. But those last 20 years are hard on the basketball body.
No, man. I'd lock his ass up, man.
I think he'd look like Jay Kordich in his 70s, the Juice Man with those crazy eyebrows.
What was
Juice Man?
Was there a Seinfeld episode with what was the name of the family? And they kept
The Mandibles.
The Mandibles. They just kept challenging Jerry, and another older one would pop up. And like, how many of them are there? I would be like Jerry.
Tony just pulled that Seinfeld fact. Where'd that come
an
from?
I have a very, very deep bag when it comes to Seinfeld.
You're like
Mandelbaum.
Roy, but just with Seinfeld.
Mandelbaum.
Mike Ryan, you were banished from yesterday's show or banished by your own choosing, either or. You have still not gotten an apology, but you did want to talk yesterday about the idea of Beal and Lillard in or.
Both?
Beal or Lillard?
B-Jack's got both.
Yeah, Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald has said there is a world where both of them can end up with the Miami Heat.
What world?
Which was, a
the
luxury
world-
tax world in which you're willing to go hundreds of millions over the tax.
For those two?
Mickey's not doing that.
No, yes, for those two,
Mickey's not doing
absolutely.
that. Mickey-
But I just don't think it's realistic. If we're gonna have a serious conversation, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I think the Beal thing could absolutely happen because the biggest difference in
I think
Beal
it could happen before this airs.
Yes. The biggest difference between Beal and Lillard is Lillard has pick of the litter, and the Blazers are going to say, well, we're going to get the maximum amount of return for him, and the Heat just aren't competitive in that regard.
Right. Even though that they have caught up kind of to the rest of the league, not the Oklahoma Cities of the world, but they can now offer these Godfather packages. But I think the thing about Beal is they won't have to give up much for Beal.
That's why.
Because the contract is actually like, can someone kind of take this one off our hands?
Yeah, the contract, the injury history recently, and just the fact that Washington clearly is going to pivot to a different direction. I think a lot of those guys that are on the Wizards right now will not be Wizards next year. They're going to be in better
There is
places.
actually certainly a path to getting both Lillard and Beal because
How?
No, there's not.
No,
No,
there's
there's not.
not.
the path would be they don't actually have to give up a lot to get
Everything.
Beal, and so they have a lot of their assets if they wanted to go all in and do something that they don't really ever do, and that's go into the luxury tax. If the Miami Heat, for his first class and what a wonderful front office that they are, and their development record speaks for itself, the best thing that they're at is avoiding the luxury tax.
But every time they've avoided it, Mike, is when the team wasn't like worth a luxury tax. They don't avoid
Really?
it when other than Mike Miller. Okay.
Really?
Other than Mike Miller.
Really? Because the Mike Miller thing. And
Shout out to Mike Miller,
were they
by
in
the
the
way.
luxury tax this year?
This wasn't a championship
Look,
caliber
They
team.
were in the finals.
Look.
They were in the finals.
Do you think that decision happened?
They were
like,
in the
last
finals
week?
2 years ago.
I will not, the same week that the Heat get eliminated from the playoffs and the audience has rebelled against all the Heat homerism around here, I will not, in a serious world that is absent delusion, entertain the idea, publicly, privately, in any setting, of they're gonna get Lillard and Beal. Like honestly,
keeping Jimmy and Bam.
yes,
That's the part.
No, that's the thing for Yurtsevin. It used to be
And Duncan.
It used to
Yurtseven's
be
a free
Michael
agent.
Jordan for Alan Ogg.
They would have to sign and trade your
Alan
team.
Ogg finally makes it to the show.
There is a way to do it.
No, there isn't.
No, so
There
hear
isn't
me out.
because they're
Hear
not
me
gonna
out.
pay.
No, so
luxury
here,
tax.
forget the luxury tax part of it. Just like
Right.
if I were to.
Okay.
So if you're saying it's not going to take that much to get Beal.
But here's the
Say
thing.
not that much is still Tyler, a first round pick, and one of the other contracts.
Exactly.
No,
Because
so
you have
hear
to
me.
make the money add up.
Right. So if they, I think the way that I was reading was that if they're able to convince, there's like an Oklahoma City thing where they can get an earlier first round pick back than the one that's later.
So right now they owe OKC 2024.
2025.
25,
It's 25,
yeah.
and so they could like flip 28 for 25.
Yes, exactly.
So
yeah.
there's like basically a way that you could get 3 first round picks to Portland.
Okay. And?
Caleb Martin.
Okay. And?
If you can sign and trade Gabe and Max and whatever else they want.
Dude, he makes $45 million.
And you have Kyle Lowry, and you have all of these bad contracts that are available.
And you think this is the best Portland can do for Damian Lillard?
No. It takes Dame going, that's exactly where I want to be.
I only
That's the
wanna
only
go-
way for
he's
any of
already
it to
kinda
happen.
started
If he
that.
says, I'm only going to Miami and I want out,
If I'm Portland, I'm saying, well, guess,
You?
yeah. I'm not
All right.
taking Gabe Vincent
Right.
and Max Strus on new deals.
it's, I guess the thought process is Caleb's a good deal. And if you can get them on big money but not long term.
So you like in
It's
order
everybody working
here's the thing.
together.
In
It's
order-
just a route.
In order to be a sign and trade,
Yeah.
they have to do a 3-year deal at minimum. Now,
Right.
what they can do is
Right, it's 3.
guarantee year 1 and then 0%
Correct.
guarantee the last 2 years.
But then you need them to
But
cooperate
then, like,
with
if
that.
I'm Max Strus,
Right,
I'm
why
like,
am I gonna do
why
that?
would I do that?
Right.
Like, it requires a
too much.
delusional level of
Yeah.
everyone just assuming that we're in on it.
No, of course. It's,
And it's like beyond like the desire of Damian Lillard to say
Right.
Miami or bust when there are other options that are pretty good as well. The biggest thing is you have one big salary piece that you can throw.
Right.
It's Tyler, right?
Right.
If you're keeping Jimmy and Bam, you can either go Tyler and Duncan, Tyler and Caleb, but Tyler's the big salary piece. You only got one shot. Which one are you going for? Like, to me, Lillard would just I don't think you can get that done.
So here's a question. Here's a fun one. Mm-hmm. This one, because there's all these already out there. Mm-hmm. There's one where they're throwing 3 first-round picks, or technically they're throwing 4 first-round picks at Portland, and then trash players. Jovic, Lowry, Oladipo.
Right.
You're throwing
Oladipo
4.
has
So you're throwing 4 first-round picks by getting the one back from Oklahoma City. To get the one back from Oklahoma City, you're giving them Caleb and Duncan.
to OKC.
Right. To get that first-round pick back.
Okay.
So now you've got 4 first-round picks going to Portland. You've got Tyler and multiple second-round picks going to Washington.
Okay. All right.
And now you're not even worrying about the sign-in
but
trades.
4 first-round picks and filler is not going to get it. Like, that's not good
You don't
enough
think
for
that's
Lillard.
enough for
not-
Lillard?
For Lillard?
No, I'm asking.
No, I'm saying absolutely
yeah.
not. Like, this is the only scenario you can do, and it's incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
You have to discover where Max and Gabe are going.
Right.
And
then
then
get those teams
get
in
those teams into a multiple team
and
deal.
get more picks.
So it's like, and just
Yeah.
more
But
moving around.
if anyone could
But you're
do it, it's
conceding that
Ellisberg,
it's
man.
possible.
It's not impossible.
It's so far fetched because.
but
at
you're
the-
saying there's a chance.
I guess.
All right, we did it.
I still don't know what's going on around here. Amin is not here. I don't know if it's because he's protesting or because after bragging about how regular he is, he's now always
Yeah, I just got a text.
he's always going to the bathroom during the show, can't control his bowels like a normal adult. We've got Mike Ryan is protesting and has sat in the penalty box. We've got Roy is still across the street baking in a Panthers jersey in the median across the street.
Why is he asking people driving by where HR is?
Yeah, where's HR? He's also holding his hands up just to make sure, I guess, that police know that his hands are up, and because he was worried about going out there for a long period of time, anywhere near where the Trump people were.
It looks like somebody who would be on a desert island trying to like call a plane, like somebody save me, please.
Yes,
He's just like yelling out Bobrovsky.
He would write in the sand, "Where's HR?" That's right, for a plane to catch. We've got chaos here, and it is not manufactured. I'm falling apart. And
Nah, you're doing great, man.
well, I'm not talking about today on the show. I'm just talking generally my career. And
I am well. I'm also talking about
the running of this company. I don't have much control. Did you see how hard it was for me to get Roy out of the room?
That was more difficult than it needed to be, I think.
I mean, but there is a general lack of respect. Look, man, there are any number of days that I've sat in a chair and I've said to anybody who will listen, I'm a bad leader. Because I've got no control over anything that's happening here, even though I'm supposed to have almost total control. I'm looking, and what I've got left of a show right now is Tony, Jeremy, Chris Cody. I've run everyone else off.
Lewis still available to jump in if we need.
No, thank you. And I say that forever. But we have failed in the zeal and the manic craze of the last few months, just missed a bunch of stuff because we got consumed by Panthers and the Heat. So the Iron Sheik died and we skipped right past it. And also, how could we not just stop and celebrate as a show a happy 46th birthday to Michael Doliak?
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
I believe the Heat would have won the championship if they still had Doliak. That they could have just
the Doliak minutes.
Thrown the Doliak minutes at Jokic, made him guard that little 15-foot jumper.
He was Zeller. He was Zeller before Zeller.
He was, but less clumsy. Less clumsy.
Was he?
Recency bias.
Dan said less clumsy, not clumsy.
That's correct. Thank you, Tony.
That's what I'm here for,
All right,
Dano.
you know what? Fair point.
That is correct. I don't think I believe.
Well
I
done,
don't
Tony.
believe I am wrong there. I did not say that Doliak was not clumsy. I simply said less clumsy than. But this allows us a chance to just play a few of the classic Doliak songs because for a minute, I don't know why, I don't remember. I think I was rebelling against ESPN in general.
We took like 48 calls.
Yeah, I think I was just bothered by the way that the space kept shrinking at ESPN, so I'm like, bleep it. I'm not going to do a serious sports show. Let's take songs about a long retired backup NBA center.
Return of Doliak. You know that he's not whack. It's Michael Doliak, and he's taking it to the rack. Return of Doliak. I think he played with Shaq. That's Michael Doliak, and he never smokes the crack.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, swish. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, swish. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, swish. Throw 'em up till I lose count. I'm gonna pass to Michael Doliak. Michael Doliak. He's gonna shoot like the defense doesn't exist. Like it doesn't exist.
Step back, shoot the J and listen. Doliak is back with a brand new invention. Something got the hold of him tightly. Average 15 minutes a game nightly. Will I ever stop? Yo, I don't know. He had a cup of coffee with the Nugs and foe. My neck, my back, my Michael Doliak.
That's a classic.
I think that one won something, didn't it?
Well, it won because we took 48 calls. Those were the 4 best. So you can imagine what we were doing at ESPN to rebel against management. Mike Ryan did not edit this Iron Sheik sound. I was remiss. Again,
Let's roll the dice.
This has been, let's do it already.
Yeah.
Let's see if we just end all of it. Look, I'm feeling a bit like Jokic today, where I just want to get
It should
home.
be a happy time.
It should be. It should be a happy time. You're right. Start your own company, but I'm dead serious about this. I'm gonna say something. I didn't ask for any of this.
I'm getting reports that people are honking at Roy now.
Chris Cody got let go by ESPN, and it necessitated certain things that while I have not come to regret them, I am feeling them. I am feeling them daily, and now everything is coming apart at the seams, even though we are making films, and this is the best time. We are now soaring. We are ready to soar. We've gotten all of the kinks out. Unfortunately, I have fried through our employees. All of them are short-circuiting.
You're welcome, everyone.
So let's just roll the dice. This is emptying the file because the Iron Sheik passed away at the, I believe, at the age of 81, and was a source of content that was very dangerous for us. We love professional wrestling. We love this time of professional wrestling. So let's just empty the Iron Sheik file, please.
Hello, this is Iron Sheik, WWE or WWF. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Dan.
Danny, I want to let you know I'm the legend. I'm the rare Hall of Fame of the WWE. So I come from 10,000 miles, Tehran, Iran. Everybody knows I put the Hulk Hogan on the camel clash now. You better talk to me good. Otherwise, I'm going to put you in the camel clutch, and I'm going to break your back, and I'm going to make you humble. Brambler, you are another son of a no good lowlife. So I want to let you know you are punk because you used to kiss Mr. Hulk Hogan ass. Oh, professional. Otherwise was ready to do it to him all country way, make him humble. Put him in a camel clutch, break his back, and then make him humble to hear respect out of it. And I didn't do it because for the God and Jesus and Mr. McMahon. Brember! And you're lucky I didn't break your back and had to come save you. And besides that, everything was great.
When people come up to you to get your autograph, are you nice or are you mean or do you threaten to their...
No, I don't do that anymore. And anybody come to see me, and I'm going to start a picture with them, for them, and I bring my the WWF belt, take a picture with them, and make all my wrestling fans happy.
But maybe a picture there?
No. That I leave it to you. Oh, I love to be, but you have to talk to my agents. Double Flair, they live in New Jersey. I have to get their permission. And if send a little bit money for me, I do it.
How about Hank Goldberg, though? Don't you want to put him in the camel clutch and break his back and his...
Who is that?
That's perfect. Okay, Iron Sheik, we'll talk to you later, buddy. It was great talking to you. Thank you very much, Iron Sheik.
God bless you, and thanks for calling me.
I sound a good deal younger and thinner there. My voice sounds like it has a lot less stress, years, and life on it. I am interviewing a wrestler and totally comfortable with the number of times that he's threatening to bleep people's bleep. Because he did a lot of that back then. It was fairly shocking. I believe that's the most stressed that Mike Ryan was before Mike Ryan's present stress level, which was that there were an assortment of FCC violations that weren't bleeped at that time because the Iron Sheik was running amok, and that was live radio.
When people come up to you...
Just so much younger.
Right?
When people come up to you...
I sound like a child. I sound like a stress-free child moving through the cosmos.
When people come up to you...
Just skipping through life.
Do you remember that, Dan? Do you remember that time?
Oh, it's so long ago. I want to use Greg Cody's As I Recall. I don't know which was longer ago, me not having stress or Greg Cody having sex.
Put it on the poll.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show, please, Juju. Which was longer ago, Dan not having stress or Greg Cody having cobwebbed sex? We've enjoyed this man's work for a long time in Miami at a school that produced a lot of tight ends, a lot of great tight ends. He came out and is among the greatest they've ever had. And if I put him at fifth, he wouldn't be insulted by that because they've had an enormous amount of great tight ends.
I mean, he should answer for himself. Maybe he is insulted.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. We'll see if I've begun by way of introduction insulting him. But his broadcasting might be better than his tight end play, which is saying something. He just won an Emmy, just got to the game and won an Emmy, and gets almost universal applause in a job that doesn't have a whole lot of that. He's obviously, I'm not even going to say a rising star. He's a star. And he's a broadcasting star at a time that those are being paid a great deal. So he's already an underpaid star because he saw what Tom Brady got offered without proving that he's as good at this job as Greg Olsen is. He read the numbers. He picked up he picked up his computer and saw $375 million for someone who may be better at football than me, but is not better at broadcasting than me, and hasn't proven that he's better at broadcasting. So we introduce you, Greg
And
Olsen,
may never.
with the question: will Tom Brady be worse than you at broadcasting? Don't mean to trap you at all. Just want to know:
will he ever broadcast?
Is he overpaid, and are you underpaid?
Listen, I did when I did pick up my computer. You're right. I did pick it up and read that article. Then I think I threw it. Listen, the Brady thing, I get it. I obviously have addressed it now. For 2 years, I don't ever shy away from it. When you have the opportunity to get Tom Brady, some people say arguably the best. I consider him the best football player who's ever played. I mean, his accomplishments, what he's done, are unrivaled in my opinion, and a lot of others. I think when you have the opportunity to add him to your stable of talent on a network, I think any network would be foolish not to entertain that and go down that road. So was I thrilled when I heard the news that he was going to go, and I was hoping to get it, long term. Of course, your personal pride and your competitive spirit kicks in, and you always think you're the best at everything, right? I think everyone who achieves anything, whether it's playing football or in media or broadcasting games or hosting their own show, whoever, I think we all think we're the best at everything we do. But at the same time, I always tell myself I choose to live in reality, right? I choose to live in a reality where I understand where Tom Brady ranks in the history of this game, and just as being just one of the most prominent figures to ever do it, and where I rank. And I feel confident in my ability to do the job. I feel like I showed it last year on the biggest stage multiple times, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself and pretend like I don't understand the realities of where Tom Brady stacks up, and when he can join your network potentially, that pretty much any network or media organization would definitely entertain that conversation.
Does winning the Sports Emmy soften your take of I'm not going to roll over and die for Tom Brady?
Mm-hmm.
You like that line?
Did
you like that line?
I mean, I like that, but it seems like now that you got the
Seems
accolades,
like you're rolling over a little bit.
you're a little polished.
No, you've just gotten good at giving the answer to a question you're getting a lot, but I did prefer Greg Olsen. I'm not rolling over and dying for Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I still stand by that. I obviously that got a lot of run and that got a lot of burn. And again, I make sure I'm very clear, because Tom Brady deserves to be talked about at a certain level of respect, like we all do. So when I say like that I'm confident in my job and that I feel damn good about what I'm able to do and the product we're able to bring, like I don't look at it as, well, that means that I have new better than him. We'll find out, right? Tom will, maybe, I don't know, however it all shakes out, get the opportunity to call games, and then people can be they can be the deciding factors of that. But my point about not rolling over and dying when I said that was no different than when I was a player. The amount of times, whether it was at Miami and they brought in a 5-star recruit who, every message board and rivals are going to say, oh, he's going to up, Olsen's been disappointing. He hasn't started yet. He's a redshirt freshman and hasn't started. This next 5-star, he'll be the starting, tight end as a freshman. Like, whether it was that or when I was in, Chicago and they brought in Brandon Montemaliuna to be the starter and paid him $15 million, or when they drafted a guy when I was in Carolina, like it happened to me a million times. And my philosophy always was, I'm going to make it so damn hard on you to ever take my job that if you do, you better be really, really good. And so it's really just that approach that I had as a player for my whole life that I've tried to carry into doing the broadcasting. I'm going to be as competitive as I can. I'm going to try to be as good as I can. And I don't get to make the final decision who sits in my seat, but I'm going to try to make it as hard on those people who make those decisions as possible. And that's really the only way I know how to operate, and I'm not going to change that at this point.
Forgive my ignorance because I might have this wrong. I don't have it in front of me, but didn't you have a contract clause that if you're not like the number 1 or number 2 announcer, your contract becomes void and you can go and try to have whoever wants to hire you? Didn't you make outs for yourself based on you didn't want to be limited up front? You knew you were going to be good at this.
Yeah, so we the one thing I will say, and I've been pretty clear on this from the beginning, is through all the Tom Brady discussions, when this goes all the way back to last spring, when Joe and Troy left to go to ESPN, and then there was that period of time where there was a lot of speculation of who was going to get that seat. Of course, me being on the number 2 team with Kevin Burkhardt, we were one of the groups that were rumored to be in it. And then, Tom kind of came out of nowhere, but then there was all the other usual suspects and the names that kind of get kicked around in the carousel with Drew Brees and so on and so forth. But the one thing I will say is Fox was very upfront with us, that, to let us know that Tom was coming on board. They called us, they talked it through. They want me to do well. They have done nothing but put me in a position to succeed, from who they've put me, my partners have been, what games I've called from the very beginning back, when I was still a player, and they gave me the opportunity to call games on my bye week. So Fox has been, my biggest supporter, my biggest advocate from day one. And they were very clear that, listen, if Tom comes and he takes it and you have other opportunities out there, like, we want to see you succeed. We want to see you call big time games. We hope it's here with us. But so they've been really great partners with us. They've been very transparent. Listen, I hope I call 10 more Super Bowls with Fox, for the next 30 years. And that very well may happen. I think we don't know right now. We'll see what Tom, how things pan out with Tom after he takes this season off. And for right now, I'm still calling the biggest games every Sunday afternoon. I'm still working with Kevin and Aaron and Tom, and we're going to call big time games, call playoff games, call the NFC Championship, and we'll see where things sort out.
Olsen, how'd you feel about Dan's introduction where he said you're the 5th best tight end in UM history? How'd you feel about it?
There is no chance in the world that I'm the 5th best tight end. So let's talk about this, because are we talking career at Miami or just overall career in the NFL?
I'm talking about career at Miami, and then both, I would say. I would say both. Just when I think tight end greatness, I name this name, whoever they are, Jeremy Shockey. You're on that list. Have I insulted you by putting you in the top 5?
No, I think if you just take what we accomplished at Miami, I think I would say Shockey accomplished more, national champion, All-American multiple times. So Shockey makes sense. You could probably put Bubba in that category. Winslow obviously was highly successful in college. From individual statistics, the team didn't win as much as they did when Shockey was there. So I would say I'm right probably after them as far as college. My college numbers weren't great. I mean, that's just reality of it. I'm fine with that. But I think if you look at NFL achievements, I think I'm number 1 in my mind.
That's where I had you.
Yeah. I mean, if you just from a production standpoint, from years play, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and be my own cheerleader and pom-pom, but I think if you just look it up and stack up the career numbers, I mean, Jimmy Graham's pretty close. I think Jimmy was on a trajectory before he went out to Seattle. His time in New Orleans, he was on a trajectory of being kind of like what we're seeing Travis Kelce do now. I mean, he's having 1,300 yard seasons like every year for a while there with Drew Brees early in his career. Then he got traded to Seattle, and it was never quite the same production. But Jimmy's pretty much up there, but I don't think any of them have as many yards or catches as I do. Jimmy has more touchdowns, I bet.
You insulted him, Dan.
Yeah, good job.
No, I'm not insulted. I'm just laying out the facts.
I appreciate
I'll let the people decide.
I appreciate you laying out the
decided.
facts. We have in our midst here an internationally renowned insider when it comes to reporting. This week, he broke the Messi story, and he has reported as well. This is not from reported sources. It is simply from conjecture that looks suspicious, that Tom Brady will not be broadcasting next year because he's going to be quarterbacking the Raiders. Can you confirm that report for us, please, Greg Olsen, that Tom Brady, that you're going to get to keep your job because Tom Brady doesn't want $375 million because he wants to play quarterback for the Raiders?
Listen, there's no one in the world that would love to confirm that report more than me. Okay? There is no one in the world that would love to say, you know what, Dan, you are 100% right. I'm glad that story's out there. Tom's not. I have no idea what Tom's going to do. I think Tom has the right that he gets to do what he wants to do
not in this game. No,
on his accord. I don't know whether Tom will ever play again. I don't know if Tom will broadcast.
I mean,
Olsen, why can't you just call him, Olsen?
Guys,
it affects your future and your life. Respect between football
they gotta
players.
Put a deadline on this Brady
why can't you just call him and say, hey, what are you doing?
You guys should bring him on your show and just pin him on the corner and just get an answer out of him.
Stupidity.
He's down there in Miami, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's down there in Miami, isn't he?
Somewhere around here. Well,
how can you not find out?
Guys, when I tell you I wish I knew, I wish I knew. I don't. I really don't know.
We know,
the only thing I do know is that I'm calling the games this year with the same team at Fox. We're going to be the A team at Fox. We're going to call through all the playoffs. We're going to culminate with the NFC Championship. obviously we don't have the Super Bowl again. We had it last year, so we have a year off. Then Fox has it the following year. So that year will be interesting because if Tom does come, that will be Tom's first year. If Tom doesn't come, then I would get the call, presumably, if I don't stink this year, I would presumably get to call another Super Bowl, which would be really cool. So Fox had 2 out of 3 years, the one we just did in Arizona and then the one next year. So next off season, we'll find out, I guess. I hope your insider is spot on. I don't.
You are
pretend
calling
to know.
an odd number of Raiders games this season. Second most primetime games, I read. It's weird.
Greg, I just want to say I am so impressed by your commitment to facts that back up how good you are at doing stuff. You're not saying you're good. You're just like, here are the facts, and this is what makes me great. And I just hat tip for that. Really like that. Fact-based reporting.
Thank you.
A tip of the cap.
It's a lost art these days, isn't it?
Facts. I'm the greatest. Everyone else is surrounded by fake news, but Greg Olsen is reporting that he is the greatest tight end in University of Miami history. Those are the facts.
Pro. The greatest pro tight end.
Yes. Yeah, let's be clear. Let's not get this headline. I can just
facts,
see
Dan, the facts.
this headline.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
any
make
of
sure
the
this
other
headline's
tight
correct.
ends have a tight end university? Because Greg Olsen does. That's where he's at right now.
There we
It's
go.
where I want to be right now. What are you doing here? Because I love George Kittle. I love Mr. Kittle even more. I know they helped put this thing together. Olsen, what are you doing with this thing?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, this will be our 3rd annual tight end university. We do it every year down in Nashville. We host it at Vanderbilt University. They give us access to their facility, their meeting rooms, their training rooms, the weight room, and then obviously their practice field. So we started this kind of on a whim 2 years ago, 2021. It was right after I had retired following my 2020 season. Kittle and I had gotten to be close. He texted me. He's like, hey, a bunch of guys train down in Nashville. We live here in the off season. Would you ever want to come down and work with some of these guys? They're young, whatnot, and just kind of share some stories, share some tips, whatever. I said, I would love that, just to stay involved with the game. So me and George start texting, and it went from 5 guys to 10 guys. And next thing you know, there's like 10, 15 guys that said they wanted to come. So George and I were like, there's other positions that do this. The offensive line, Von Miller does one for pass rushers. So it's not really a new concept. It's been done over the years. They had the old quarterback club years ago. So we said, why don't we see if we can make this kind of like an event and see if we can get multiple guys. Maybe we can get 20, 25 guys to come down to Nashville. And we'll do a 2.5-day kind of all tight end summit. So we got Kelsey involved. So Travis Kelsey got involved. So the 3 of us, in essence, started TEU. You mentioned Bruce, George Kittle's dad. He does a lot of the day-to-day and a lot of the ops stuff for us. And in the first year, we had about 50 guys come down to Nashville. Last year, we had 80, which is kind of our max. You can only handle so many guys. So this year, we got about 80, 85 guys coming down for year 3. Charmin, again, you get the connection. They love tight ends. They're our presenting sponsor. They're back for another year. Thank you, Stugotz. I appreciate you picking up on that. So it's just a really cool thing.
I don't think Sharman cares whether the ends are tight or not, as long as they're just buying toilet paper.
So it's really just ends. They're more into just ends, whether they're tight or loose.
They don't care whether they're tight.
Dirty ends.
Yours happen to be tight.
Tight ends,
Kittle's
split
happens to be tight. But don't exclude non-tight ends. Those are also welcome to spend money on soft toilet paper.
A lot cleaner.
No doubt.
Right out.
No doubt. And what's really cool, we do a lot of community stuff out there. We're doing a literacy program. Bridgestone comes in. Their headquarters is down there in that area. We're doing a big literacy program. Last year, we brought in the Boys of Girls Club. We gave them a huge donation. So we all the money that goes into putting the event on, and then everything that's left over, we donate to charity, both in mostly around the Nashville surrounding area, and then also throughout the country. So it's really a community event, but really just a who's who of top tier NFL tight ends, undrafted rookies that have never played a snap. Everybody in between is welcome. And it's really grown into a pretty big annual event.
Greg, thank you for being on with us. I think of Kittle as being closer to lunatic than literate. I think, among everyone that you guys have there, I think he wins the lunatic tight end rankings. Do you have someone who would beat Kittle at the lunatic tight end rankings?
So Gronk is coming this year. Gronk has never come in years past. Yes. So Gronk is coming.
Yeah.
What's so funny about being around, I've been around Gronk obviously for a long time over the years. We trained together. The year he came out from school, he trained down in Miami at the same place that I would go to in the off seasons down there with Bomarito. So I got to know him coming out. He played crazy. He had that but really away from the field. Like, you couldn't ask for a more like genuine, down to earth, like regular good dude. George is kind of the same way. Like, he plays like a wild man. He plays like a WWE, which is why he's always in wrestling and WrestleMania and all that. But like, away from the game, he is just a down to earth. He's got a great family. His mom and dad, his wife, they're very involved in TEU. They're just good people. Works his ass off. Plays his ass off. He's just a great dude. But yeah, I mean, when he gets on the field, I agree with you. He's got a little lunatic in him for sure.
Olsen, I want to broadcast from this event. Can I do it? We have a little show called God Bless Football, and I spoke to Bruce Kittle about this. I would like to broadcast from this event.
We got to go.
Olsen's about to say yes.
Greg, thank you. Next year, feel free to do it, Stugotz. Next year.
I was gonna say yes, but Dan cut me off. So we'll have to
see you later, Olsen. Good talking to you.
Right,
thank you for
being on.
Appreciate it,
guys. Thanks.